Coming up on Cronkite News, the latest figures show Arizona has the highest rate of inflation in the country. We take a look at what's contributing to higher prices.
Plus, a major strike between railroad workers was averted today. What President Joe Biden is saying about the deal.
And an emotional homecoming, how advancements in science have discovered a soldier's identity 70 years after his death.
Cronkite News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm Geraldine Torellis.
And I'm Alexia Stambridge. Thank you for joining us.
Inflation in Phoenix has increased from previous months. That means the price that we pay for basic needs, including shelter and food, are rising. Annie Levino shares more on how some families in the state are impacted more than others.
Higher prices for shelter, food, medical care, gas, and electricity contribute to a 13% increase in inflation in the Phoenix area over the past year, one of the highest in the country. According to a recent survey from the U.S. Census, more than 42% of Arizona adults reported having difficulty paying for their usual household expenses. This is the highest it's been recorded since they started the survey during the pandemic. Government data also shows Phoenix residents spend 34% of their income on housing. Rising prices impact low-income families the most as they struggle to cover the cost of basic necessities. Andrew Segru with the Arizona Center for Economic Progress says there are things we can do to help low-income families.
There's things that can be done to mitigate the effects of inflation, and that would be trying to improve services and programs for the people that are most affected by inflation, and that's low-income people. Of course, low-income people, inflation hits low-income people harder because these things that they depend on, like gas and food and utilities and rent, comprise a larger share of their income than other folks.
Segru says programs like employment insurance, tax credits for families, or other assistance programs have expired, which is a major reason low-income households are struggling with living expenses. Inflation is expected to lower as gas prices in Phoenix decrease. In the newsroom, Annie Levino, Cronkite News.
President Joe Biden announced this morning that a tentative deal was reached between the unions and rail companies. This averted a major strike that could have halted the U.S. economy. The agreement came after 20 consecutive hours of negotiations at the Department of Labor. If a decision was not made by tomorrow, it would be the first railroad strike in 30 years. Train engineers were asking for more time off, including sick time. President Biden called it a win for thousands of rail workers, many who worked during the pandemic.
In these early, dark, uncertain days of the pandemic, they showed up so every American could keep going. They worked tirelessly through the pandemic to ensure that families and communities got the deliveries they needed during these difficult few years. They earned and deserve these benefits. And this is a great deal for both sides, in my view.
The deal will now go back to the unions for a vote. A cooling off period will then follow for several weeks.
At the White House today, President Biden hosted the United We Stand Summit, billed as a bipartisan effort to counter hate-fueled violence and bring a more united America. Cronkite News reporter Emily Miranda reports from Washington, and One Valley Mayor was there as well.
It was a packed day at the White House. The president, cabinet officials, religious and community leaders all gathered to discuss the issue of hate, and Arizonans were part of that conversation.
What a privilege that is, right? To be given this opportunity to have an impact.
Mesa Mayor John Giles, a Republican, was part of a bipartisan panel of mayors who talked about efforts at the local level to fight hate. They were among a range of programs rolled out during the day-long event, everything from schools to policing. Shelley Lowe, a member of the Navajo Nation and chair of the National Endowment for the Humanities, announced a new initiative to connect communities through cultural engagement.
We know President Biden is determined to create a space for healing the soul of our nation, and we know the arts and humanities are essential in that role and in nourishing our nation's soul.
And the nation's soul needs healing. Arizona recorded over 280 hate crimes in 2020, the most recent year for which numbers are available from the FBI's Uniform Crime Report. Almost 200 of those were motivated by race and ethnicity, the most since 9/11.
Mesa, Arizona is a very compassionate city, but I'm a little ashamed to tell you that we are the city that had the first hate crime following 9/11.
Giles is one of 150 mayors who joined the Mayor's Compact to Combat Hate and Extremism, which was unveiled today. The goal? To create communities where hate has no safe harbor. Giles was the only Arizona representative here today, but not the only one represented. Phoenix Mayor Kate Gallego and Tucson Mayor Regina Romero also signed the Mayor's Compact. In Washington, Emily Miranda, Cronkite News.
As Mayor Giles mentioned, Mesa was the scene of the first hate crime after 9/11, the murder of Balbir Singh Sodhi 4 days after the attack. A friend of Sodhi's, Valerie Carr, was honored at the White House today as one of 16 uniters for their work to stop hate crimes.
The World Health Organization says the end of the pandemic is in sight. Yesterday, the WHO's Director General cautioned there is still a risk of more variants, deaths, distribution, and uncertainty. But he said the world is in the best position to end the pandemic. The organization says there were just under 11,000 COVID deaths reported between September 5th and 11th. That is a 22% decrease from the previous week. Aside from some outliers, the only other time weekly deaths were around this low was during March 2020, the first month of the pandemic.
A long-awaited homecoming. An Arizona soldier who died in the Korean War finally laid to rest in Tucson. His identification is a result of advancements in DNA technology. Cronkite News reporter Mackenzie Hamill explains what led up to this emotional moment.
At the end of the Korean War, there were more than 8,000 missing soldiers. The remains of more than 600 soldiers are interred at a cemetery in Hawaii. Now the U.S. government is going through the painstaking process of identifying these men, one by one. For one Arizona family, these efforts brought closure.
It was a bittersweet ending to a story 70 years in the making on this gusty day at South Lawn Cemetery in Tucson.
It's like a person that you've never met before that you have so much respect for.
Tammy Shreve never knew him, but her uncle's death plagued her family for years.
And I kind of equated it a lot to my children. I have children that are 17 and 20. And I think of him being 19, right in that age group, and how would my kids have reacted being in a war? And just the terror, but at the same time, being scared, but being proud of what you're doing and what you're fighting for.
Private Felix Yanez was 19 years old when he died in the Korean War in 1950. He was among nearly 500 soldiers killed in a single battle along the Coom River, many of whom are still unaccounted for today.
The whole thing has been incredibly overwhelming, just the amount of honors and respect that he's getting from everybody. It's beyond anything I could have ever imagined.
The military did not recover Yanez's remains until 8 months later, but due to less advanced technology at the time, he was left unidentified for decades. Shreve made it her mission to bring her uncle home so her 83-year-old mom could give her brother a proper burial.
I don't want to say it was an obligation, but it was an obligation in my heart that I had to do. I would always tell my family, I'm like, he's not going to be forgotten on my watch. It's not going to happen.
Shreve actively searched for him for the last 10 years, but for the last 50, the Defense POW MIA Accounting Agency has been collecting, logging, and identifying unknown soldiers like Yanez. Dr. Veronica Keys has been working in the DPAA Korean War Identification Project lab in Honolulu, Hawaii for 8 years, and says there have been many barriers in identifying these men. Barriers include incomplete remains, lost or destroyed records, and issues with DNA extraction.
If we don't have dental records, or we don't have the chest radiographs, then it kind of limits what we can do to narrow down that list to get down to one person. So that is definitely, I would say, a big challenge for us.
Identifying war victims is like solving a puzzle with missing pieces, but the Hawaii lab got creative. Tomorrow on Cronkite News, I'll have more on the process to bring these soldiers home. In the newsroom, Mackenzie Hamill, Cronkite News.
Coming up, many people with disabilities live a unique experience and learn to adapt to their surroundings. How one local event is helping to provide resources for this group of people.
And finally, some good news in Arizona's water situation. We'll show you some hopeful images of the current drought condition.
Ain't no time for imitation, ain't no time for playing. I'm just gonna do me.
You know what I'm saying?
Try to steer the trouble.
Where's the fun in that? You know how ladies can be.
I'ma do what I do.
Did you know newsrooms today are looking for bilingual journalists? Cronkite Noticias prepares you to cover diverse communities. In Cronkite Noticias, you will obtain an unforgettable experience.
Nopales como este van a tumbar.
Cronkite Noticias.
And develop your skills with the latest technology.
That way the flavors will marry nicely.
Can you tell me what I'm looking at?
I'm not looking for love, I'm looking for cookies.
And there's still places to discover.
It just absorbs you.
You can make this at home if you can't find it.
I will continue to eat and drink until you get here. Get here fast.
Cheers.
Oh, look at that. Oh, doesn't that look good?
We are going to be eating well.
It does work. It does.
We got a happy little sky.
We're just getting started.
People with disabilities learn from a unique experience. Many have to overcome obstacles, and it can be hard to find resources in Arizona. Cronkite News reporter Michelle Aaron tells us how an event gives them hope and helps them navigate the system.
In Arizona, about 24% of the population have some sort of disability, the highest of which is mobility, according to the CDC. Brianna Wheeler says many people with disabilities know there are resources out there for them, but have problems finding them. Her organization, Live to Roll, helps navigate the system.
We are been put in a stigma and in a bubble for so many generations, and we want to break that. We want to break that stigma. We want to teach disabled people that they can live their absolute best life.
The Abilities Expo, which was recently held in Scottsdale, showcases accessibility options, resources, and motivational speakers for this sector of the community.
I came to the Ability Expo for the first time last year, just as a bystander. Now I'm here speaking. Like, that just shows you how quick you can connect with people and doors can open. I mean, it's awesome. It's like the auto show times 10.
The expo also highlighted a wide range of adaptive sports, which are competitive or recreational activities for people with disabilities. They also offer free workshops on home modifications to methods for funding. Local vendor Vapor Wheels is a Tempe-based startup company. Its director of sales says they help people customize their wheels. According to the World Health Organization, people with disabilities encounter a range of barriers. The expo highlights some of the ways those barriers can be overcome. In Scottsdale, Michelle Aaron, Cronkite News.
The Abilities Expo is held annually in several cities across America.
For the first time in a long time, the drought in Arizona actually appears to be improving. It's all according to the Arizona Drought Monitoring Technical Committee, who released their weekly report this morning. Take a look at this map. As you can see, there's no extreme or exceptional drought conditions in any part of Arizona. That's likely thanks to the intense monsoon we've seen all over the state in recent weeks. For reference, this is what the drought condition map looked like in August and July. The red parts of the state show the most extreme drought areas. We could continue to see improvements in drought conditions with more chances for rain next week. Jack Wu is in the Weather Center with today's report. How much rain can we expect, Jack?
Well, Geraldine, we are going to see some rain in the beginning of next week. Not this weekend, but Tuesday we're going to be seeing some rain on the eastern side of Arizona, in Phoenix and in Tucson. Same thing is going to be happening, just a larger scale on Wednesday afternoon in Phoenix and very much so in Tucson. It's going to be some light rain, but it'll help quell this drought that we're going through. As for the rest of the week, it's going to be very dry, and tonight as well, going to be dry, no rain, but for tonight, before it ends, 88 degrees. I mean, come on, these fall temperatures are coming faster than you know it, especially with the high temperatures in northern Arizona, 72 degrees in Flagstaff, 78 in Payson, and we're seeing the high 90s in Phoenix and the rest of southern Arizona. Tucson's 99 and Yuma is 98. As for your 8-day forecast, 98 tomorrow, and Saturday and Sunday we're going to be in the low hundreds, but check out these low temperatures, 76 on Saturday, 75 on Sunday. As for the rest of your week, Tuesday and Wednesday, we're going to be affected by that rain, so we're going to have temperatures 98 and 95. Thursday and Friday, we're going to resume our dry and hot temperatures. From the Cronkite News Weather Center, I'm Jack Wu.
I'm Kevin Redfern. Coming up after the break, I'll have your Cronkite Sports Report. Prominent players around the NBA are reacting to Suns owner Robert Sarver's suspension. More on this after the break.
Ain't no time for imitation, ain't no time for playing. I'm just gonna do me.
You know what I'm saying?
Try to stay out of trouble.
Where's the fun in that?
You know how ladies can be. I'ma do what I do.
Did you know newsrooms today are looking for bilingual journalists? Cronkite Noticias prepares you to cover diverse communities. In Cronkite Noticias, you will obtain an unforgettable experience
Nopales como este van a tumbar.
Cronkite Noticias.
and develop your skills with the latest technology.
That way the flavors will marry nicely.
Can you tell me what I'm looking at?
I'm not looking for love, I'm looking for cookies.
And there's still places to discover.
It just absorbs you.
You can make this at home if you can't find it.
I will continue to eat and drink until you get here. Get here fast.
Cheers.
Oh, look at that. Damn, doesn't that look good?
We are going to be eating well.
It does work. It does.
We got a happy little sky.
We're just getting started.
Welcome back to the Cronkite Sports Report. I'm Kevin Redfern. Responses to the NBA's disciplinary action against Suns owner Robert Sarver is lighting up social media. The league suspended Sarver for 1 year and fined him $10 million after an investigation found he created a toxic workplace culture. A lengthy report revealed racist and sexist behavior, prompting Suns guard Chris Paul to tweet that he was horrified by the investigation results. Former Sun Jamal Crawford wrote simply, "Donald Sterling 2.0. Paul, along with LeBron James, said they felt the penalty against Sarver was not harsh enough. Paul added that his heart goes out to all who were affected. NBA Commissioner Adam Silver, however, defended the league's decision.
The conduct is indefensible, but I feel we dealt with it in a fair manner, in both taking into account the totality of the circumstances, not just those particular allegations, but the 18 years in which Mr. Sarver has owned the Suns and the Mercury.
Today marks the first day of National Hispanic Heritage Month, and the Arizona Coyotes announced their plans for year-round celebrations and partnerships with the Arizona Hispanic community. Cronkite News reporter Adam Schwager has more on how the Coyotes, the only NHL team with a Latino ownership group, will honor the season.
The Arizona Coyotes and Dignity Health kicked off Hispanic Heritage Month with the ceremony at the Scottsdale Ice Den on Wednesday afternoon. At the event, they announced the 5 Hispanic-owned businesses, or estrellas, that they will be highlighting throughout the season.
We just selected businesses that we know have been making a great impact, not just as a business, but everything that they do for the community, and we want to celebrate them.
Each estrella of the month was chosen in consultation with the Arizona Hispanic Chamber of Commerce and Univision Arizona. The estrellas will be special guests at one of the Coyotes' monthly Noche con los Yotes game and honored on the Jumbotron at ASU's Mullet Arena, the Coyotes' new home.
We've been highlighting these estrellas for a few years now, and we're so excited to be able to elevate them, to lift them up, to be able to put them on a platform at the level of the Arizona Coyotes. That's significant.
Not only will the estrellas be honored at the game, but they will be a part of a Coyotes campaign that will be promoted by Univision Arizona throughout the season.
They are supporting us with marketing, and which I appreciate very much because our business is a very, very small school, and we need help.
In addition to the estrellas, the Coyotes announced they will broadcast 2 Spanish-language radio games per month. In Scottsdale, Adam Schwager, Cronkite News.
President Biden will meet with the families of WNBA star Brittany Griner and security executive Paul Whelan tomorrow morning. Senior administration officials confirmed the first in-person meeting between the parties. In June, members of the Phoenix Mercury met with state officials to discuss Griner's detention. The Biden administration said they made a considerable proposal in July to bring the two home, but no deal has been reached yet. The 3-on-3 basketball movement has become a beneficial teaching tool for basketball players developing their overall skills. However, one Arizona high school girls basketball coach is using it for much more. Cronkite News reporter Ryan Meza takes us to this school's annual event.
McMahon Gymnasium at Seton Catholic Prep has been the proud home of girls head basketball coach Karen Self for the last 30 years. However, within her first 4 years, Self had to find a way to keep the girls' basketball program running.
We were in a situation where we had to fundraise in order to keep our athletic programs viable. So I kind of, at the time, was recently out of college, doing a lot of playing of 3-on-3 tournaments myself. So I thought, well, I'll start a 3-on-3 and see how it goes.
And the Sentinel 3-on-3 Classic took off from there by contributing to the girls' basketball team to raise enough money to support their commitment as a program for the past 25 years.
When we were here, and you're volunteering for it when you're a player and playing in it yourself, and so this has been something that they've been doing forever and ever, and it's crucial to the women's basketball team.
Tournament fees are $100 per team, and after paying referees, ordering shirts, and prizes for the event, there's extra money to take some financial weight off of families.
For 25 years, the Sentinel 3-on-3 Classic has given back to much more than the girls' basketball team.
In years past, we've supported our mission trip to Mexico. We've supported prom scholarships. We've just kind of tried to find a need on campus and give back a little bit of what we were able to raise from the tournament.
An event that first started as a small fundraiser has now become a huge alumni community event at Seton Prep.
No matter how long you've been gone, everyone wants to come back here just because it's such a great place to support.
Generations of Sentinels contribute to the growth of this tournament year after year and continue to help students and faculty succeed at Seton Catholic Prep. In Chandler, I'm Ryan Meza, Cronkite News.
That's it for today's Cronkite Sports Report. Back to you, Alexia.
Coming up after the break, what's your favorite childhood toy? We'll explain the honor 12 toys are competing for and how you can influence the outcome.
And that's the way it is. Monday, September.
Newscasting has changed a lot since the time of Walter Cronkite. That's why here at the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism, you can learn the studio production skills of today in real time. Whether you want to work audio, direct, technical direct, design graphics, or you can even run the floor. It's all part of the Television Production and Graphics Lab here at the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism. We're going on in 3, 2...
Did you know newsrooms today are looking for bilingual journalists? Cronkite Noticias prepares you to cover diverse communities. In Cronkite Noticias, you will obtain an unforgettable experience
Nopales como este van a tumbar.
Cronkite Noticias.
and develop your skills with the latest technology.
The Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communications Phoenix Sports Bureau provides students with hands-on learning experiences and opportunities in sports journalism. From covering local high schools, colleges, and the pros, students get the opportunity to go live from our Facebook shows covering local, collegiate, and pro sports in the Valley. From digital reporting, broadcast, social media, and producing, there's opportunities for all. For more, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.
The National Toy Hall of Fame has announced their finalists for 2022. Light Bright, Nerf toys, and Pound puppies are among the dozen finalists for this year. Others include Bingo, Catan, and Phase 10. The Hall of Fame is at the National Museum of Play in New York. The public can vote online until September 22nd. An advisory committee will select 3 inductees, with the public voting as one member of the committee.
That's it for Cronkite News tonight. Thanks for joining us. For top Arizona stories anytime, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.